Hey everyone, Brian Howard here with the Howard team.
And I'm Cole Valley. Today we want to give you a quick update on the just released Calgary real estate statistics for March.
And the big takeaway is this: Calgary is not one market right now. Different property types are behaving very differently, and that matters if you're thinking about buying or selling.
Overall, in March here, we saw 1,881 sales across Calgary. That's up from February, but still about 13% lower than last year and below the long-term average for March.
And at the same time, inventory rose again, which is normal for spring, but the real story is where that inventory is building. Detached homes are still relatively tight in many parts of the city, while row homes and especially apartment condos are seeing much more supply.
The overall city benchmark price came in at $565,600. That's up nearly 1% from February, but down more than 4% from this time last year.
So if you're just looking at one headline number, you're missing the real story. You have to break this market down by property type. Let's have a look at detached homes. Well, because this remains the strongest part of the market, detached.
Yeah, so in March, detached sales reached 982 with 1,614 new listings. That pushed the sales to new listings ratio 61%, and supply stayed at just over 2 months.
That means detached is still relatively tight, especially in the northwest, the south, the southeast, and east districts, where supply is under 2 months.
The detached benchmark price was $741,300, which is down from last year's peak, but there are still quarterly gains in areas like the west, city center, and the south.
So for detached sellers, the message is pretty simple. If your home is priced properly and shows well, there's still good opportunity. This is not a market for overpricing, but it is still a market where strong detached homes can perform very, very well. Now, what about semi-detached?
Yeah, so in the semi-detached sector, we're still seeing more of a balanced market.
So sales were up over last year for the second month in a row, which we found quite surprising. And both inventory and sales level are pretty close to long-term trends.
The benchmark price for semi-detached homes came in at $686,100, which is slightly up from last month and only about 1% lower than last year.
That's a pretty stable story. So if you own a semi-detached property, this is still a healthy segment. But like everything right now, location and pricing matter. Row homes, Cole, what about row homes? Row homes are softer than detached and semi-detached.
Yeah, so row home sales have definitely slowed, and first quarter sales are down about 19% from this time last year. Inventories rose to 960 units, which is about 25% above long-term trends, and months of supply is now close to 3 months. So seeing a lot more row homes.
And the row benchmark price is $423,000, which is similar to last month, but more than 6% lower than last year.
Yeah, so this segment overall is more balanced, and in some areas, especially like the Northeast, it's leaning a lot more in buyers' favor.
For row home sellers, the takeaway is that strategy matters more now than ever. You need sharp pricing, strong presentation, and a real plan.
Yeah, so let's talk about apartment condos. The biggest shift appears to be in this sector here, Brian. And you want to speak on that?
Inventory climbed to almost 1,800 units, which is just shy of the record high for March that Calgary saw during the 2008 financial crisis.
Yeah, so sales to new listings is sitting around 40%, and there's now nearly 5 months of supply for apartment condos. That gives buyers a lot more choice and a lot more negotiating power.
This is why condo prices have continued to soften. So if you're a condo seller, the conversation has changed. You can still sell, but pricing has to reflect your current reality, not last year's expectations.
Yeah, so what this means is, Brian, what does it all mean?
Well, it means Calgary is a segmented market right now. Detached is still relatively tight. Semi-detached is balanced. Row homes are softer. Apartment condos are giving buyers more leverage.
And that means that your strategy really depends on what you own, where you own it in the city. And that's why you want to hire guys like us to give you a great pricing strategy and get your home sold in the time you want it.
Exactly. A detached seller in Altadore or the West District is having a very different conversation than a condo seller in a segment with rising inventory.
If you're wondering how these stats affect your home specifically,
Or if you're thinking about buying, selling, investing, or making a move this spring,
reach out to the Howard team.
we'd be happy to walk you through the numbers, what they mean for your property, and the best strategy for today's market. Thanks for watching, everyone.